And now one of our great traditions, one of our guests, Jack Trainor's going to come up and tell his annual joke.
Thanks, Donnie. Everybody, I'd like to thank Donnie, huh? Does some job. Well, Sean is over in Ireland and he's looking for a job. Like everyone else around here, he can't find a job. So he goes in, he's an architect. So he goes into the biggest architecture firm in Ireland and he applies for the job. And with him applying for the job is a fellow named Paddy Collins, a fellow from the US. So he says, Sean says, well listen, I'm Irish and I should get the job because we're both qualified. He says, well, we'll see how that works. So a couple of minutes go by and he says, hey, fellas are very, very equally qualified. What we're going to have to do is give you a test. He says, and we'll see the results of the test and we'll see how you do. So they take the test and you fellas both did fabulously on this test. You both got 19 out of 20 questions right. He says, but we're a little concerned because, Sean, you both got number 7 wrong. He says, is that right? He says, yeah. He says, and the Yank, he writes down, I don't know the answer to this question. And you're right, me either. So I'm not sure what he meant by that, but Shawnee finally gets a job and he decides to call in to work sick. So he calls the boss, he says, listen, I'm sick, I'm not coming to work today. So the boss says, Sean, you don't sound sick. He says, I'm in bed with my sister. How sick is that? Thanks, guys.
Hi, fellas. You can't win in this place, you know? Been smoking these Christmas cake last year, and a lot of Italian friends I have here, boy, I get some shit for that. I never let up. But yesterday I went to a Wall Street luncheon, and somebody slipped me a ditty that I'm going to read, which is a little Irish, but kind of cute, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. An Irish daughter had not been home for over 5 years. Upon her return, her father cursed her heavily. Where have you been all this time, child? Why did you not write us? Not even a line. Why did you not even call? Can't you understand what you put your mother through? The girl crying replied, Dad, I became a prostitute. You're what? Get out of here, you shameless harlot. Sinner, you're a disgrace to our Catholic family. Okay, Dad, as you wish. I just came back to give Mom this luxurious fur coat, a title deed to a 10-bedroom mansion, plus $5 million savings certificate. For you, little brother, this gold Rolex. And for you, Daddy, a sparkling new Mercedes limited edition convertible that's parked outside, plus a membership to the country club. And an invitation to you all to spend New Year's Eve on board my new yacht on the Riviera. Now, what was it you said you had become? The girl crying said, a prostitute, Daddy. Oh, my God, this can't be half the dead girl. I thought you said a Protestant. Oh, keep that 100 kids. I just want to tell one story. Now, a lot of you have heard over the years, and it's a great story. It's a great Joe Costello story. It's his story and always will be. About playing golf over in England. And some of you haven't heard it, so I'm going to try and do Joe justice. Anyway, this is a story about a lawyer, a very a widower, a very wealthy man, a man with a long dream to play Sandringham, one of Great Britain's most exclusive golf courses. And one day, while traveling in the area, he decided to give it a go, as they say. Upon entering the clubhouse, he was met by the club secretary and asked if he may pay the cost. The club secretary replied, "Member? No, sir." "Guest of member? No, sir." "Sorry, sir." As he turned to leave, he passed the lounge and he spotted a slightly familiar figure seated in a big Queen Anne chair, reading one of the Times. Why, it was Lord Popham. He approached him bowing low and said, "I beg your pardon, your lordship." He said, "My name is Higginbottom, from the London solicitors of Higginbottom, Ramsbottom, and Bottom. He says, "I should like to crave your lordship's indulgence. Might I play this beautiful course as your guest?" And his lordship gave Higginbottom a long look, folded up his paper, took off his glasses, and asked, "Church?" "At the Church of England, sir." That was my late wife. "And senior warden at the Cathedral at Bath, a position the family has held for over 400 years. Education? Eton, sir. Oxford. Christ College in 39. Sport? Why, rugby, tennis, cricket. Number 2 of the crew that beat Cambridge in 38. Service and rank? Brigadier, sir. Coldstream Guards. Campaigns? Dunkirk, El Alamein, Normandy, Sicily, Salerno, and the bridge at Remagen. Accommodations? Victoria Cross, Knight of the Garter, with 2 clusters. Languages? Fluent French, Italian, Spanish, and German, conversational Russian, and a bit of Greek. His lordship considered briefly, and then nodded to the club secretary, and we all know the answer to this. 9 holes! Very good. Thanks, Johnny, and I just want to thank everyone here, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Let me start by saying that anybody here who knows me knows Pat from Cork in the first 5 minutes. But this is a story about his cousin. It's Pat. From where, Eddie?
Kerry!
Pat from Kerry is right. And those of you that don't know about Kerry, Kerry is the Poland of Ireland. So off we go. So in walks Pat into the pub, and he sees his pal Mick, and Mick says to him, "Pat, I need to talk to you," he says. He says, "The whole town is laughing at you." He says, "Dear God, he says, "Mick, why are they laughing at me?" He says, "Well, it seems to me that every time you and the bride have a little affair, you leave the windows wide open." He says, "The whole town is there looking at you." He says, "You're kidding me." And he says, "At last Thursday," he says, "we're all standing around. The whole town is on the front stoop. And there you are having your way with Margaret." He says, "Is that right?" He says, "That's right. And as a friend, I'm telling you, close the windows, pull the blinds, do something." He says, "You're an embarrassment to me, you're an embarrassment to yourself, and you've got to change." He says, "Well, I'll tell you what." He says, "The whole town is laughing at me." "Well, fuck them," he says. "I wasn't even home Thursday." So recently we had a revelation. So recently we had a revelation. Bert went back to church, and he's going into the confessional. Father, it may have been you, I'm not sure. And he walks into the church, and it's a little unfamiliar territory to him. So he walks into the church, and he walks into the confessional, and he sits down. He says, "My God," he says, "it's been a long time since I'm here, but things have changed." He says, "In the confessional is a bottle of Jameson, some fine chocolate, a couple of cigars, He says, you know, I think I can get used to this. So in walks the priest, sits down, he says, bless me, Father, brothers, and he says, you know, Father, I just want to say I applaud all the changes the church is doing here. He says, I'm a little more comfortable in this environment. He says, you're on my side, jackass. Thank you very much.
Jack, oh, wait a minute, he's here.
Something that happened over last summer. Donnie and myself were in Ireland, and believe it or not, in the middle of the day, we were coming out of a pub. And coming down the street, coming out of the pub, there's a hearse. And behind the first hearse, there's a second hearse. Behind the second hearse, there's a fellow walking with a big dog. Behind the fellow with the big dog, there's about 300 men walking very solemnly. I turned to Donnie, I said, Donnie, something terrible has happened here now. So Donnie persuades me to go out and speak to the fellow with the dog and tell him what happened here now. The fellow with the dog says to me, do you see this dog here? I say, yeah, I do. He says, do you see the first hearse? I said, do, yeah. This dog ripped the throat out of the woman in the first hearse, killed her dead. My wife. Oh, dear Jesus, I said, what a terrible thing. I don't know what to say to the fella. I'm grief-stricken. Well, a couple of minutes go by and I said, tell me, who's in the second hearse? He says, do you see the second hearse there? I said, do, yeah. He says, do you see this dog? I do, yeah, no. This dog ripped the throat out of the woman in the second hearse, chewed the fucking head from the body, killed her dead. My mother-in-law. Oh, dear Jesus, I said. What a terrible thing. I can't imagine now. I'm grief-stricken. A couple of minutes go by again. I said, I don't know what to say to the fellow, so finally I just walk up to him. I said, tell me, is that dog for sale? He says it is. Get online.
Hi, fellas. Actually, this story, I just heard this story yesterday from Bill Ryan. And Bill tells me, I saw Bill this morning, I told him I was going to tell a story, and he says, well, it's actually Rudy Horak's story. So this is not a new joke, but I hadn't heard it before, and I thought it was kind of cute. I embellished it a little bit. Not you. Amy and Becky, married about 50 years, and they're having breakfast one morning. And after breakfast, all of a sudden, Amy gets up, and he's putting his jacket on. And Becky says, where are you going? He says, I'm going to the doctor's. I got a doctor's appointment. She says, what's the matter with you? He says, nothing. He says, I've been doing some research on this new drug, Viagra. I think I'm going to go over, and I'm going to get a prescription. So she says, I'm going with you. He says, why? She says, if you're going to start using that long, old, rusty thing you got again, I'm going to get a tetanus shot. So that's the line. But Becky and Abe also were coming home from dinner one night. They went out to their favorite restaurant. Oh, yeah. And Abe gets pulled over by a policeman. He rolls down a window and the cop says, give me a license and registration. So he says, he's fumbling through his wallet and he says, what's the problem? He says, what's the problem? He says, I got you going 55 at a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and 2 blocks ago you went through a stop sign. He says, 55 miles? I don't think I was going that fast. Becky says, you were going that fast. I told you were going too fast. I told you to stop. He says, will you shut up? Gives him the license. He says, stop sign? I don't remember a stop sign back there. She says, there was a stop sign. I told you the stop sign's coming. You didn't even stop. You went right through the stop. He says, will you be quiet? So the cop reaches in the window and he says, ma'am, does he always talk to you in that tone of voice? She says, no. Only when he's had too much to drink.